everyone, it's Evan and Irma from Avira Health. We have a fantastic discussion that's been a couple, 3 years in the planning. So I'm super excited to have the dynamic duo of Daniel Kraft and Shauna Butler of NextMed Health. Guys, how are you?
So glad to see you. I wish it was in person, but we'll take what we can get.
And
In
Indeed.
March.
good to
And
see both
speaking
at
of
the
in
meet.
person, Daniel, we have a little video to play, but why don't you start by introducing yourself and NextMed Health for those few people in the industry who may not be aware of who you are. Give us a
Uh,
background.
sure. Hey, everybody. Great to be here. I'm Daniel Kraft. I'm a physician, scientist type, innovator of different sorts, and sometimes an accidental futurist, and have had a really sort of fortunate and somewhat accidental role as well over the last decade, kind of looking at what's the future of healthcare, not through any one lens. I'm trained in oncology and regenerative medicine, but through the convergence of accelerating technologies and how we might leverage new ideas, technologies, mindsets, systems to reshape and reimagine the future of healthcare. And I've been doing this for about 12 plus years, starting out as the founding chair for medicine at Singularity University and for running this program called Exponential Medicine for a decade, which you guys were great parts of. And now we're evolving that, as we'll talk more about, to NextMed Health. But I like to sort of be at the interface of technologies, still a licensed MD, and like to connect the dots with amazing folks like you and Shauna to help catalyze the future faster.
Well, the future is here, and we're super excited about the upcoming NextMed Health event, formerly Exponential Medicine. Many people will be familiar with that brand. Daniel, why don't we play a short video to kind of inform the viewers what this all about, and we can add this here to the stream and take a quick interlude. Take a look.
Great. Here's a quick 2-minute look at kind of a summary of NextMed Health. NextMed Health. What's now, what's near, what's next. Imagine the future. Don't just imagine it. Help build it with a collaborative, forward-thinking community at the convergence of ideas, arts, science, and possibility. To reach a future of medicine, we need to sometimes change our limiting beliefs. Sometimes the challenge isn't the new ideas, it's escaping from the old ones. So you're going to get an update on the cutting edge of accelerating technologies, from AI and robotics, 3D printing, digital health, synthetic biology, and quantum computing, to blockchain, augmented reality, to what's happening with chatbots, drones, psychedelics, and beyond. So at NextMed Health, we bring together the instigators, the forward thinkers, sometimes the folks who are a little behind the curve as well, to see the art of the possible. What's now, what's near, and what's next. And to help bring what's next in ways that are more empowering to the patient, to clinicians, communities, and healthcare systems around the world. And not just the what's new, but the how to really bring change across healthcare ecosystems. We're lucky to have the most incredible faculty at NextMed Health, from patients and academics to startup founders, clinicians, and innovators of all stripes. We expect our participants, many of whom could be giving keynote speeches themselves, to roll up their sleeves, to share their learnings, to meet new people, to get out of their own mindsets, to cross-fertilize, and to build an innovation ecosystem that can really help us across the care paradigm. So the NextMed Innovation Lab is a really special place. We have over 60 startups, from seed stage, just out of a garage or a lab, to those from Fortune 50 companies, showing off what's really cutting edge. You get to experience things in the Innovation Lab and have a hands-on feel for a future that's already here, but just not evenly distributed. The Hotel Del Coronado is a bit of our secret sauce. It's an amazing 150-year-old beachside resort near San Diego. It's close to the airport, it's close to the city, but it feels far away. We're a bit sequestered there and able to use the incredible location for everything from beachside bonfires to our famous silent disco and to other activities that spark human connection and discovery. NextMed Health isn't just about the science or the medicine, it's about the power of the human spirit and creativity. So let's imagine the future together, collaboratively. Please join us this March 13th to 16th for NextMed Health, to innovate and to solve the grand challenges of healthcare for all of us.
Wow, so exciting! I'm pumped. So Shauna, tell us how many episodes or how many years of Exponential Medicine / NextMed Health have you been involved with? This goes back quite some time.
7.
So,
Yeah.
that's fantastic.
I mean, that's a magic number, isn't it?
Well, you know, the human body, I heard, and let's see if doctors and a nurse agree, human body regenerates every 7 years. So is it time to regenerate this event under the new branding and with new ideas and build on that momentum?
You know, one of the things that exponential medicine has been known for is we really spent a lot of time helping people to adopt and understand the exponential mindset, to understand the difference between linear thinking and exponential thinking. And what I find super exciting is how many times now I hear people talk about exponential change, exponential technologies. I think we've done a really good job of helping people understand what that mindset is, what those tools are, and why we should be thinking exponentially. So that was mission accomplished. And then the pandemic and coronavirus hit, and it really has put a reset, a reshuffle, a reimagination. And so people talk about what's next. As we move into this new era, we kind of thought, we need to be leading that. That's what we've been known for, is people come to us looking for what is now, what's going on, what's near, and then what's next, and really help us to, I think, like I said, people come to us looking for what technologies, who are the people, what are the problems, and how are they getting solved. And so that's really what that's what we're going to be doing, is we are going to be introducing you to those new ways of thinking, new ways of behaving, new technologies. And some of it's not necessarily new technologies, but as Daniel always talks about, it's how we combine all of these different technologies. And the way I have always described our community is that it's like Disneyland for clever optimists. This is the group of people who see the really big challenging problems out there, and they're solving all these hard problems for all the right reasons. They see technologies in different places, and they want to bring them in and say, how can I use them to solve the problems that I see every day? So we want to make sure that their work gets, that we share that. And then we know that there are a lot of people who are seeking solutions to the problems that they see every day. So how do we introduce them to solutions, to problem solvers, build them in that community, and really feed the people who are that very small percentage of us who are leading the world forward and not afraid of the really big problems. That's what smart people are for.
And community, because a lot of it is not trying to reinvent the wheel. There's some incredible innovations that aren't US centric or Silicon Valley centric. And what's been great about our past decade is in most years we have 35 or 40 countries represented, and 500 plus industries in the commingling. And it's at that kind of interface between ideas, sometimes inspiration, and collaboration, that a lot of new sparks and relationships and companies funded or amplified, or napkin ideas turning into intellectual property and new endeavors that have really always impressed me. It's sort of a bit of a magic mix. And most healthcare meetings or conferences or summits are quite siloed. They're focused on like My World of Oncology or cardiology or some subspecialty or digital or pharma. And I think the magic of what we're doing at NextMed Health is to break open those usual silos and the usual unusual suspects getting together who might not always commingle and meet, and sort of touch the cutting edge of what's now and help kind of use that framework to help build what's next. And not just I put it, that the framing of what's new, but the how to, because there's a lot of learning about how to take a new technology idea, insight, and really integrate it into actual impactful care.
Yeah. And Daniel mentions the word magic, but there's a certain part of play and playfulness, and that is so powerful in helping to bring people and ideas together. We do have change makers in the audience, but we also have troublemakers, people who are looking for the good trouble, people who are asking those questions, but how might we, or why haven't we? And so it is that bringing together the technologies, bringing people together from different not just interdisciplinary and staying within healthcare, but going to the different sectors, going to the different edges. And by bringing in play and bringing in magic, the people who have ever been to exponential medicine and now coming to NextMed, we always see those places where people are dancing. We see them out singing. We see them moving. And I like to say all the time, if you can't sing and dance together, you certainly will not be able to solve the hardest problems in healthcare together. So it's a key piece of what we do, and making sure that we are taking care of and feeding the hearts and souls and minds. I think one of my favorite data points, when people are looking at, why do you come to these types of events? Why do I want to be a part of this magic? And the thing that is really humbling and also keeps us going is people say all the time, this event, this community, this gathering changed my life, or it reminded me why it is that I do this, why I take on these really hard problems. And so, as Daniel's mentioning, there are a lot of different health gatherings. And one of the things that I'm really proud of and we're really committed to is we never lose sight of the human beings, the human touch. That behind all of these challenges, these stories or these diagnoses or searching for treatments and cures, there are people, and they're connected to people who love them, and they're contributors in our community. And I think we're very good at keeping that front and center and sharing those stories. And so it's not just a piece of data, it's a human, and it's a really powerful story.
This is so interesting. And as anyone who goes to conferences, you hear so much about, we had to skip all those sessions because we wanted to be with the people, communities where it's at. But what's so interesting about NextMed is that community and that cross-pollination is actually built into the event. So you don't have to miss an interesting session where you would get a lot of great information to collaborate with people or to get in touch. It's all built in.
Yeah. There's a lot of thought behind the design of the emotional arc, the storytelling, the interaction. I was gonna say, like I said, when people come and they've experienced that, one of the most gratifying pieces is people will say, there are a lot of conferences or events that I have to go to, that I have to show up to. This is the one that I can't wait for and that I won't miss. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. And Daniel, what are some of the highlights from previous years that stick out to you? So many amazing visionaries and creators and practitioners, but give us a few snippets of some of the more memorable ones in your mind.
There's a lot of memorable ones. And my favorite thing is to sort of help open people's ideas and minds to the art of the possible, or even the now. So just a few examples. I think in 2015, we had Stéphane Bancel, the CEO of Moderna, right? And no one had heard of really mRNA as a therapeutic platform for everything from vaccines and infectious disease to neurologic disorders and cancer, which Moderna is now going. So it was a very early peak at the very exciting early company. We couldn't predict of how impactful they would be on a pandemic. We had companies that like Omada Health there in the early days when they were starting to build their system for reversal of or prevention of type 2 diabetes. You get to see the first generations of augmented reality type platforms for use in the operating room. At a very early program, I think 2013, we had the first demo of Google Glass, and one of our participants and now one of our faculty, Dr. Raphael Grossman, was the first to take Google Glass into the operating room, and that helped catalyze a whole new movement of leveraging augmented reality in the surgical suite and in medical education. Or we had Shafi Ahmed, a leading surgeon from London, come over and do the first show and tell about using virtual reality to live stream surgeries for democratizing surgical education, or learning about what's next in synthetic biology or quantum computing. So a long list. I won't summarize them all, but
one of my favorites that you left off, Paul Stamets. I mean, years ago when he came in and he started talking about mushrooms, so now to see where we are with psilocybin and see all of these different controlled studies, that was, 6-7 years ago when we first invited Paul. So mushrooms have been around for forever, but the leading thought of how we're going to deal with mental health. So those are some of the things that I remember that are really stick out of like being really on the cutting edge, like what's near, what's now, what's next.
And we didn't just have Paul, we had the leadership from MAPS, which was doing the groundbreaking trials using MDMA for PTSD. And so showing that element of the sort of what used to be alternative realm coming into the mainstream. And so I think it's a really exciting time, and COVID has certainly been a bit of a catalyst to help accelerate things that used to be very incremental and make them somewhat exponential, whether it's virtualized visits, which we've all experienced, crowdsourced virtual clinical trials, new ways to hopefully amplify and improve public health, as well as amplifying some of the challenges we've seen, whether it's the infodemic or failings of our social determinants, and up-leveling all players to have more of an equal playing field. So It's a broad spectrum, and what people get a taste of usually is they get out of their usual bucket, whether they're someone who's a clinician, a nurse, someone in the pharma space or a payer world, and they're going, wow, I never saw a video game being used for mental health. How could I apply that for my constituency? How might we think about the arc of what our organization is doing, whether it's a clinic, a hospital, healthcare system, a startup, or a Fortune 50, as they're trying to think about their 2, 5, 10-year plan. If you're not thinking exponentially to some degree, and also looking at these new sort of interfaces and incentive models and regulatory systems, you're going to be behind the curve.
And let's talk about the venue, because the venue often makes or breaks an event. Frankly, I'm getting so sick of going to Las Vegas and Orlando. I couldn't even tell you. I'm actually not here at the Dell Coronado.
You wish you were at the Dell,
but I will be at the Dell. But the venue is part of the overall experience, and the location being in San Diego, the sort of the heart of a lot of biotech happening around the world. It's really special, isn't it?
Yeah. One of the things that I think is, we really try to live into what we're suggesting, practicing, preaching, but the power of environment. When you think about designing those places where health actually happens, or where conversations, and there's this metaphoric experience of when you kick your shoes off and you start walking down the beach, and you've got your toes in the sand, and the natural rhythms of the tides and ocean coming in, and watching and being very tuned into the sunset. I think that those rhythms of life really help us to clue into the rhythms of and cycles of developments of products or new entities, new partnerships, new collaborations. It is a magical place. It's got a long history to it. The other part too is that I think when you were talking about being in Vegas or Orlando or San Francisco, some of those places, you're smack dab in the center of a city, and you're close to other things. And it's really easy to say, you know what, I'm just going to step outside and go somewhere. This reminds me of what it was like when you would go to camp. You're in that one place, all of the things are around you, and you don't want to leave. And then it's also, we really are. We're over on Coronado Island, all these other things surrounded. So that space invites you to stay and to dig in and to really think about the dimension of interaction. How do we accelerate rapport? And the Dell is a place that helps make that happen. It's a tool. It's a part of, it is very much integral to the event. Daniel, I took over that, so I'm sorry. You probably have some other things you want to say about the Dell.
No, I mean, the idea of sort of being somewhat sequestered. It's only 15 minutes from the San Diego airport, but it feels like, 100 years and 100 miles away. And having that sort of community kind of gathered in close constituency. We're not a massive meeting. We're not a trade show that you'd go to in Vegas or Orlando. Those have their place. But the fact that we're all in the main magical old ballroom where there's been presentations from way back, or that our innovation lab in the Crown Room is where Lindbergh, gave his speech when he first came back from crossing the Atlantic, or the big tree outside was the first lighting of a large building in 1888 or something like that by Thomas Edison, who was there. It just gives a bit of that sort of both flavor of arc of history and the power of the folks who've come through there, from almost every U.S. president and millions of people over time. Even Some Like It Hot was filmed there. So as Shauna said, we get a bit of that sauce of being sort of by the beach, where we have, you can go run with our friends, the Navy SEALs. We're doing morning meditation with Swami, our longtime meditation faculty, who likes to say the only medication you need is meditation. He's never taken meditation in his life. He's 70 something now. And so, I also love to make sure people mix it up. Often people might come and they sit next to their colleagues from their company. And like in all things, the best things happen when you're cross-pollinating. And so people come away with folks they would never met at a usual trade show or conference, and conspire and collaborate, and have created some pretty impactful initiatives. And the set and setting is really key for that.
Let's talk about the call to action for folks who might be interested or rewatching this video. Thanks for watching. Who should attend? Who would you like to invite to attend? This isn't just a brand or company-driven event, although that's part of the mix, but individuals, practitioners, who is your ideal participant in the community? Daniel, I'll ask Shauna next.
Yeah, I mean, there's no one ideal. That's part of the mix. You're not just getting all doctors or nurses or pharmacists or medical device or investors. It's the fact that we have a great combination. But in general, it's folks who often like see the world and go, wow, why are we still using fax machines? Or could we use data in some new ways? Or, oh, this wearable is great, but what if we applied it to autoimmune disease? Or they have their own innovation that they're trying to understand how to bring into the world, and realize that innovation is a team sport, particularly in healthcare. And healthcare is hard. And often you can be inspired and learn from others who've done things before you and cross-collaborate. So I think the favorite folks, I think, are ones who are a little frustrated with the status quo, are looking to bring the future a bit faster, and to do that in a kind of empowering, upskilling community.
Yeah, I think the other way to describe some of the folks who this is a really good fit for are techno optimists. You know, these are folks. It's a group of people who I see these problems and I see the promise that technology would hold for that, and I also see the complexity. This isn't going to be solved just by healthcare, just by my clinical partners and my clinical colleagues. I need to bring people in who understand the arts, who understand data, who understand looking at blockchain, looking, all these different things. When you take a look at the challenges that are out there, we have a challenge with trust. We have a challenge with data sharing. We have a challenge with cleaning the data up. We have regulatory challenges. We have drug discovery challenges, new delivery. So it's a group of people who are in their organizations who touch some way how people experience their health and healthcare, and have a curiosity and a frustration, and want to be around other people who want to channel that in the very best positive way. So I'm not sure, it's always interesting to bring people who are like, yeah, that's never going to happen. But it's usually the people who show up are like, this train has left the station and I want to make sure that I'm on it. And I need to know who those other people are, what tools they're using, how they're seeing this work. People who love experimentation. And so you can tell that I'm not going into any broad sector to say, oh, it should be for nurses, physicians, psychologists. It should be for all of those. It should be for our social workers. But think about people who are in our food systems, who are in housing, who are in transportation and mobility. Think about people who are addressing the issues of social justice and health equity. We need all of those folks, because whatever problems that we're seeing, we're going to need to look through the lenses of how did these solutions equitably solve the problem and not exacerbate a problem. And so it's all comers, people who really, what I refer to as being health curious, technology intrigued, and emotionally hungry.
That's wonderful. Irma, what are one or two of the highlights from your recollection pre-pandemic of attending NextMed/Exponential Medicine? I know you were all in. It was so exciting to be there with you.
Let's start with my first exposure to Exponential Medicine was through their live stream. This is before I was able to attend in person, but I was so grateful to that live stream opportunity where every talk was actually streamed live, and I could tap into all that amazing cross-disciplinary storytelling. Now, having gone to the event in person the next year, I saw how all this amazing content delivered from the stage was only part of the event, only part of the experience, but only part of this cross-pollination and opportunity to actually discover the how, and how these sometimes potentially like pie in the sky ideas, actually not so pie in the sky. It's actually this opportunity to get this implemented. So once I had this full experience, then I'm still so grateful that NextMed will have the live stream so people can get a glimpse of this. But being there in person is so much more than just the content.
Yeah, it's ironic that we're doing a live stream. I'm done with video and Zoom calls. I'm ready to break bread and get together. And I think we had a drum circle, and we had dinner on the beach. And man, what about?
It's hard to do a silent disco virtually, though. I guess we have our chocolate shaman ceremony. You can't do show and tell and hold and feel an object physically yet in the virtual space with the metaverse. But to that point, I want to make the point that our vision for NextMed Health going forward is not just to be this annual event, but to build this into a kind of integrative community that's physical, virtual, blended. So we'll be doing some virtual events on a regular basis within the community and driven by the community. We might be doing NextMed robotics or NextMed AI or NextMed pediatrics, both physical, virtual, or ones eventually in different parts of the world, and have chapters and communities that feed into this, because not everyone can come to San Diego for that window. And so our bigger picture is to build this interconnected innovation hub and community that helps cross-fertilize and catalyze, and do that both in person and in your VR headset or just on the screen.
And let's talk about some more of those details of the components of the virtual community. Does social media play a role in keeping people connected and talking throughout the year?
Well, absolutely. I think with you and Evan's help at our last event, we had like 800 million Twitter impressions, and a lot of folks discovered these technologies or these are amazing faculty. I want to make the point that we have an incredible set of faculty / speakers that are not just on the main stage and sages on the stage, but interact in the breakout sessions and webinars, and they're in the drum circle with you. And by the way, almost everybody who comes has some story to tell and something to share. Almost everyone there could be faculty. So this year, again, we'll be doing what we call sort of an unconference, where you'll be able to present in parallel track sessions during one of our breakout sessions in the evenings, what you're working on or what you want to help find cross collaborators for. And the social media part really helps amplify that and lets folks get discovered and to share out the great talks and content that we have during and after.
Yeah.
And some attendees become faculty in future years. Isn't that how it happened a few times?
We've had that happen. And one of the things that we have done in the past, having what we refer to also as our social media vanguard, but there are people that we're not reaching necessarily that wouldn't necessarily know about us, but they have subject matter expertise, they have geographic reach. And so we would invite folks who are in these different domains, who are speaking in different languages in different parts of the world, to follow along and to live tweet, because they have a perspective. They have a certain set of questions that they might ask and share with us. So it's a two-way channel so that we can understand, like, well, here's what's happening in Brazil, or here's what's happening in Portugal, and help us to identify when we share something, up on the stage, or there's some new idea or some new presentation. It's always interesting to see communities, whether geographic or the diabetes community or the oncology community, survivors community, they point to this and want to amplify it, or they have really good questions, or they have a perspective. So it's not only those folks who are with us in person, but they're also those people who are with us remotely, live. And so how do we bring those folks into the conversations? Because we're going to learn as well. So it's not us just radiating out like, here's everything that you need to know. It's here's some things that we're thinking about. What else do we need to know? So inviting people into the conversation in real time and creating a learning community and using all of the tools that we have to get this information, these ideas to as many people as possible, and then watch them grow. I mean, exponentially grow.
And sounds like you have opportunity to bring in people with lived-in experience.
Absolutely.
And learn from them.
We refer to them as the experts in the condition, otherwise known as patients.
Yeah.
So Daniel, where do we go next? Can folks sign up and register? The clock is ticking on, there isn't an infinite amount of capacity here for people to attend. So what would you say is the next step for folks who might be interested, or brands that might be interested in sponsoring?
Yeah, well, we've always sort of been oversold. We can only fit about 500-600 people in the main ballroom. So that's part of the intimacy of the program. We just opened up our registration. It's live, and we have sort of our early adopter special through January 5th. So you can save a bit. We haven't raised our registration price since pre-pandemic, despite inflation. We really want to get the right folks there. We do have an academic and government rate, and we'll be offering scholarships and fellowships as well, because we really want to get all comers there into the mix. So you just go to nextmed.health and find the registration button and sign up.
It's designed to be frictionless and fun. So yeah, and beautiful to look at.
And we're also, we've had amazing partners in our past programs and in blending into this one. So if you're an organization from an NGO to an academic center to a pharma company to medical device to digital health or anything that's touching healthcare, it's a great place to bring your leadership and other folks. It's a great place to get others exposed to what you're doing and your value proposition, and to find potential partners or folks to invest with or invest in. And we've seen several examples of big payers discover small startups and amplify them and accelerated them. We, by the way, have about 60 startups that come to our innovation lab. And it's not a pitch fest. You can get to experience them and meet them during the breaks in the innovation lab. But we do have a small startup award program called the MEDIs, Medical Entrepreneurship and Disruption. And we have about 5 winners in different categories who all get to do their pitch from the main stage. And it's been really exciting to see how many of them have gone big, not necessarily from us, but partly from being connected to that community and finding small and large partners and players to amplify what they're doing and to make a big impact.
Well, so exciting. And thank you for sharing the vision. This will be a series of live streams with different faculty, Vanguard participants of Next Med Health. And we look forward to attending. Super excited. And
active participation. Like
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thanks, Shauna. Thanks, Daniel, for what you do and being you. And until then, we'll catch you on social media. Until next time.
Oh, thank you for inviting us. This has been so fun.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
It's been great.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.